Hello friends, welcome to the weekly Python show. How are you doing? Is everything working well for you, hopefully? Today we've been really efficient setting things up, like 10 minutes, everything ready. And we have a surprise for you because while we've been setting things up, we figured out that we can do more than we even planned today. So stay tuned, this comes at the very end of today's broadcast. So what we have for today? For today we have two wonderful speakers and boosted Boris. The speakers, I know these people mostly personally, I can say so, I guess. I don't know Maria so well, so let's start with her and we will have a proper introduction together. So please welcome the first speaker, Maria. Hello, Maria.
Hello.
Maria, is it okay if I call you Maria or Maria
Yeah.
Jose?
Maria, it's fine. My name is long and complicated.
It's long and nice.
Yeah.
You know, no
Yeah.
king had a short name. Like usually, this aristocratic people, they all have long names. So I'm even, a bit shy. I'm just Anton Cáceres, and it's Latin. It's way too short for Latin name. So if I would be you, I would say read it all.
Oh, exactly. Let's do it.
Okay, then please welcome Maria Jose Molina-Contreras.
Oh, really nice accent.
Wonderful. Maria, you're in Berlin, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
How is it going in Berlin?
Having in mind the global situation, it's fine. We're really good.
Relatively chill, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you
Enjoying the
personally?
sunny days at home.
You personally, how are you doing?
Really good. I
Good.
cannot complain. No,
Okay.
no.
Thanks for agreeing to participate today.
I am super happy and super enthusiastic and for share all the things that I did about this project with you today. I'm super happy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity for us because your topic is interesting. I have noticed that many people, maybe it's a lockdown effect, but many people were looking for a new hobby and
Mm.
growing plants is on the rise, I think. What do you think? Have you noticed more questions, maybe from your friends, like, oh, how do I start this?
Yeah, well, it's I think that it's a simple or easy hobby or things that you can do in at home at lockdown. And yes, the answer is yes. I have a lot of people, a lot of friends that are starting to ask more things or hey, what if I can grow onions or something like that? I say yes, go to your fridge, cut vegetables, and then you put it in water and you're gonna have new plants. And so people is so happy and so enthusiastic at least growing vegetables or fruits at home in that moment.
Okay, Maria, I just have to ask it. Did anybody ask you on the tip of growing marijuana? I know
I
it's
don't.
illegal. I know we are not doing it, but did anybody ask?
I am not growing, but of course, as a former scientist in plant molecular biology, I have knowledge of how to grow it. Of course.
And you live in Berlin, so you are a very valuable friend there, I suppose.
Yeah, but I also can give you tip for how grow the strawberries. Not only for that.
Wonderful. I hope that today we will hear all of it. Is it right? What are you talking about today, by the way? What's your topic?
Yeah, well, I would like to talk about how to build an indoor garden with microcontroller and IoT.
So
I
it's not
will
so
share.
simple anymore, I guess.
Sorry?
It is not so simple since you add the word microcontroller, growing
No,
plants.
really. No, you're gonna see this in this talk. You're gonna see. that you can build in a really simple way, a watering system, and it's a great way to start with programming hardware. Really, you're gonna, after the tool, you're gonna see that it's really easy to start to do it.
Okay, so
Don't be
our viewer Jürgen says that strawberries are awesome. So you can consider it as an initial support for you, the kick for your talk. And we can start. Can you start the screen sharing, please?
Yeah, sure. Can you see my screen? Yes. Okay, let me.
Okay, everything works?
Try. Yes, good.
All right, then let's give a big hand to Maria.
Thank you so much. Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for joining. As we were talking about, my name is Maria and I work as a data scientist in Berlin, but I have a background in plant molecular biology. I got motivated to play with microcontrollers in my free time, so today I will share one of my favorites. Since I have a biological background and I work with plants, many friends start to send me pictures of their plants asking, what is wrong with my plant? So most of the time, it was mainly watering problems, too much or too little. So one day I thought, maybe I can build a simple system that takes care of this automatically, but simple enough for everyone to use it and build it. I never programmed any hardware during my career. Luckily, a friend of mine gave me a microcontroller that was a gift during the PyCon US of the 2019, and after many weeks without using it, I decided to check how that little thing worked. Yeah, when I heard microcontroller, I think in robot, in some things really complex. So I thought I should use some that moves. And as you can see, this was my first attempt. And even it's cute, it was not efficient at all. After many fails, I decided to create a proper project. So the first thing I did was to create a logo, Plantaris. Well, maybe it was not the most important thing, but it was the beginning of a nice experience. Well, before jumping into the code, let's clarify some concepts that are key in this kind of projects. First thing, it's hard to keep our plants alive. And as I mentioned it, a proper watering system is really important, even though it's not the only factor to consider. Second, choose your plants based on your environment conditions is key to have success in these projects. Naturally, all the plants are from outdoors, but if the idea is to create an indoor garden, you need to have in mind the hours of light. Consider as maybe synthetic light, the temperature, the relative humidity, and other factors. Moreover, not all the plants are happy with the same amount of water or with the same watering method. How I should water my plant is one of the first questions that you should answer before starting this kind of projects. But not only that, you need to start also knowing about moisture sensors. There are many types of sensors, and I just tried two of them, a resistive and a capacitive. I tried the resistive, even knowing that they have corrosion problems because it was for a short water exposition, and if you need to leave it there, you need to use a capacitive one. To get accurate reading out of your soil moisture sensor, it's recommended that you first calibrate it for the particular type of soil that you plan to monitor, because different type of soils can affect the sensor. So your sensor may be more or less sensitive depending on the type of the soil that you are using. This is one of the first things to do. Define what is dry and what is wet. To do it, you need to take values. For instance, you have in this picture water, wet soil and dry soil. And what is recommended is take values from dry to the water and define this range of value. Well, here you can see the initial idea that I had in mind. I thought, okay, I have my plan with a moisture sensor connected to the microcontroller and also a water pump that somehow I can activate and deactivate to water it. It looked really simple, so I start to read about how to do it and I start to buy some components. Well, maybe I start to buy a lot of components. Here are all the elements that I use for the first system. The microcontroller I got from the PyCon is at the bottom left. It's the letter F. The moisture sensor is the flower-shaped device with letter C. The water pump is the white thing in the middle with the letter D. And that needed external batteries, exactly 5 volts, so that, as you can see, the letter E. The blue thing on the top is a relay, that is the letter A. In simple words, that it's a signal on-off switch. So I was able to connect that to control when it was watering. And of course, cables. You need always cables. Let's see, the microcontroller that I use is called the Circuit Playground Express. I'm not sure if you can see in my camera or it's better in the slide. And it's developed by Adafruit. This microcontroller has a huge potential for different kind of projects because it has motion, temperature, light, sound sensor, and a lot of connections. The Python version that runs inside is called Circuitpython, which is a fork from MicroPython, and it's really simple to use, totally beginner friendly. There are many libraries and drivers for sensors that you can connect it with a USB cable, and then you are able to start a Python console to interact with it. Here you can see how everything was connected at the end, many cables. I know it was not safe to have the water pump next to the relay, as you can see in the picture, but never mind, that was just like for the picture, but don't do it at home, be safe. And let's see how the system works. Yeah, that was the first version of the system, and as you can see, when I touched the sensor, I had the response of the pump that simulate the sensor perception. Well, what about the code? I skipped the imports here, but just wanted to show how to interact with the devices. Since I was sending signals to the relay, I had a digital output connection, and the moisture sensor is an analog input since I needed to read the number from it. The main loop was really simple. You get the sensor value, And if that's less than try value you define, you just enable the relay and water the plant for a few seconds. Easy, right? You can see more details and more code in the GitHub account. But after finishing my project, I gave a couple of talks and many people was interested and start to give me feedback and ask me for new functionalities or new options. So I decided to build a bigger system with many more features. That was my prototype system for the two. Since the Circuit Playground Express, that it was the microcontroller, didn't have many ports, I found another device that extend the connections. So had the option to add more things. As you can see here, I include a speaker and also a water level sensor. Here are all the old and the new components. The green circuit you can see under the circuit playground is called Cricket and include many extra ports to connect more things to your circuit playground. I bought a speaker and put it inside the box. That is the letter L. And on the top you can see the red water level sensor, that is the letter B. And as you can see, I maintain the others components. But in this case, I changed the moisture sensor to a capacitive, as you can see in the letter C. And let's go to the video.
Attention, the water level is low. Please fill the water container. Attention, the water level is low. Please fill the water container.
Of course, I added this sound that was connected with the water level sensor, but of course you can record the audio that you wanted and also connect it with the sensor that you want to obtain the information and has a lot of things that you can play around. And what about the code here? Here the code was a little bit longer, but still simple enough for everyone that wants to try. I wrote a Python class to create all the functionalities of the system. So the first thing I do is to create an object called Plantaris. As you can see, the main loop had some steps. So on the right, you can see the implementation of the functions. First, you can see the method water level OK. That's something similar that we did in the system one. Just check the value and return true or false. And when the level is not okay, we play a message. That is, I am just opening a WAV file and play through the speakers. So that's all you need to have a voice notification if the water level is low. The second condition we have is to check if the moisture value is okay. That is the same code from the system one. I check if the moisture level is okay, and if not, I water out my plants. Here, watering our plants is just opening the relay for a few seconds and then close it. If you are thinking there is a mistake because for the opening I wrote a false, that's because the relay has two states, always closed or always open. Since I don't want to have the water pump working all the time, I use the always closed gate. So that needs to be true to remain always closed. That is why I wrote false, means that the relay will be open. Wow, sounds a bit confusing. But you can see this is only a part of the code, and you can see the rest of the code in the repo of the project. Well, sorry, I have an issue. As I was generating a lot of data, I decided to do something about it because as I told you before, I am working as a data scientist, and have data and not use it is like, no, I can't. I need to do something. And I thought, should really connect my system to internet. So I started to look for components that could help me with that. And I noticed a new system by Adafruit called PyPortal. So I went to the store and I got it to start playing with. Even though I did my best, I had many issues with connecting components to the device, probably because of my little experience, but I spent a lot of time reading about GST connectors, I2C ports, and even Wi-Fi microchips, and I am still figuring out about the voltages for those things. But maybe this is a story for another talk. But if you have experience with this device, with PyPortal, please let's be in touch. But at that point, I say, okay, this is still work in progress, but we can do more things, right? The important thing is that people were interested in IoT, so I want to improve the system. I was really lucky that a couple of weeks before start the IoT project, by ladies from Berlin and from Hamburg decided to organize a workshop after the PyCon DE on the same topic. And I got a Raspberry Pi, and this solved a lot of my problems. The base system of my Pi is Raspbian, and I connected via SSH, so I was able to install Python, but then I thought that I could install other things. So if I leave a web server running, I thought, well, maybe I can leave a web server running on the Pi, right? Also, I didn't have worry more about the limited storage space on the system, since I had the SD card on my Pi. So I started to check how to connect the Raspberry Pi and the microcontroller, and I found now Pi serial. So, but let's be honest, completely honest with you, now that we are in confidence, I started to try code. I found a route and ended up having a way to get all the pins from the microcontroller to a CSV, and ta-da, that was all. I managed to do it. But let's see the video of the system too, adding the IoT system.
Attention, the water level is low. Please fill the water container.
And that was my system too with IoT. Since at some point I had some experience with Flash, basic experience setting up a simple one-page web application. So I consider that I did the decision to build a monitor system. As you can see in the image that I am displaying, the logs on the table, and on the right you can see the moisture data over time, plus the latest report for the device on a small table. In the plot, this decrease means that the plant was water. But being a data person, for me, it's like, wow, it's awesome. See how your plot changes every time that you water your plant. So enthusiastic. But was that enough? Okay, that was nice, but when I started to read about how to access my Raspberry Pi from outside my home, things got really complicated. I asked many people, and even though I managed to do it with a service called IP, sorry, I didn't feel I didn't feel safe, since protecting the site or the server was difficult. And also I try to build something beginner friendly. And I started to think in other options. And that is when appeared the idea of using Telegram. I was using Telegram for a long time. I knew that in theory it was easy to set up a bot, and I had some friends that had one, so I went online and I did a tutorial, and it was surprisingly simple. You talk to the bot father on Telegram, tell him that you want a new bot, and that's all. They give you a token. Of course, Python helped me again, since there is a model to add the functionality to your bot in Python. And that's it what I built. There are a few commands that you can use once you set up the bot, like data to get the sensors level. In this case was the moisture, but if you have more sensors, you can also take this data, obtain this data. A smile to take a picture, if you have a camera, of course, and dance to record a small video. That was kind of funny because because I was super enthusiastic to do this functionality with the video, and then once I did it, I realized that I was tracking up my plans, and yeah, as you can imagine, it was like, okay, I have a video and it's nothing is happening, but still you can do it. You can have this functionality. What's now? There are many crazy ideas on topic that I want to start researching, but of course, one thing at a time. At the moment, I'm trying to understand better the PyPortal pores, since I'm certainly having a screen will improve the system for IoT, but also I can buy a screen and try to integrate it with the system too. It's still, I am trying to decide. Also, I am still in a couple of megabytes of data, so I don't believe in a cloud service will improve the current situation. But in any case, I have reviewed a couple, and in case I need better infrastructure, I try Google Cloud Storage and Adafruit.io. But at the moment, I am not using any of these services. But the idea is continue growing and adding features to the project, and probably the data will increase. This is how looks my system right now. It's a prototype still. I am working to increase the efficiency of the watering system using a parallel system with my relays and the moistures and more than one pump. But this is still in as I told you, in a prototype state, because the corona situation affect to the materials, and also it was not the best moment in the world. And well, I am doing what I can with the materials that I got it before all the stuff. Yeah, I already have more experiments ongoing, so keep an eye in if you're interested in my Twitter. I will try to communicate all my new things there. Believe me, I'm prepared, since I have many sensors that I bought so a lot of months ago, and hopefully you can buy a couple of components, get the code, and start playing with it. And most importantly, let's make our plant happy. And thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. It was an inspiring talk. Now, I guess half of our audience is already checking out on Amazon or somewhere where to get these components, because it sounded indeed not so complex. I guess it actually is.
I cannot hear you.
Ah, yes. Give me a sec. This is a Skype
No.
issue. Now you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's fine. Our audience have heard me and you well.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, I was telling that it was an inspiring talk. Now half of our audience will go on Amazon and buy all these components that you have shown, I guess. I will at least. Some.
Yeah. In the repo, there is a folder that you can find all the materials, all the components, because also I try to have low cost components, not in microcontrollers or things, but just if you're interested in save some money also.
Cool. We have many questions. I also have personally some questions, but let's be nice and first let the audience ask. Okay. Yeah, by the way, Andrea just joined and she's telling, Hola Maria Jose, que gusto verte. So a greeting, very private and personal. It's interesting because Jürgen asked a couple of minutes ago, where is Andrea, Lisa, and other PyLadies Munich? Here they are. It's nice to have you. Welcome, PyLadies. Good, now back to the questions. The first one, is there a reason why this is indoor only? Sounds perfect also for tomatoes on my back porch.
Yeah. The only reason is because I don't have balcony. Sadly, sad story, but it's that the reason. You can use this kind of approach for outdoors. The only thing that you need to consider is protect all the electrical things for sure, but it's really easy to do it also outdoors.
Okay, Jürgen, I guess you need to lease your garden to Maria so that she can do more experiments there.
Yeah, please.
It's supporting the Python ecosystem, right? It counts. Good. Next question. Can you water more plants, or is it one per device?
No, you can water. Depends of your design, of course, but the idea is to do a serialized system where you can connect different pumps, different relays with different connections, and then you can water kind of in series your plants.
Okay, nice. Okay, one more question. How about a database to figure out how much water for different plants? Yeah, it's complex here.
I like the idea. Because I love data. I am data person, and then yes, everything that you can think in data. Yes, I agree with you. If it's necessary, depends of the data, depends of the plants, depends of the number of sensors that you are obtaining, depends of the species that you are having. Because if you have the same species with the same size, maybe the values will be always in more or less in the same range. But if you are including
It means it's epic. It's very good. It's a good sign.
okay, so sorry. Depends of these kind of things. I think that the storage your data will be really useful, and also will be useful for data projects. This kind of projects can allow you, if you are planning to do a transition to data science, it's really good because you can generate your data, you can work with your data, and then you can do whatever you want. And data, it's money at the end, at that moment.
All right. I think Boris is getting some plants now. Yeah, he's a rock guy, so I'm not sure about the strawberries though. I don't want to guess what he's planting. We will ask him in 5 minutes. Okay, meanwhile, Jürgen confirms, telling that if he's allowed to have the strawberries, then you can have all of the garden. Sounds like good news. Okay, if we don't have any more questions and comments, I will ask more questions myself. You get also a round of applause, by the way. It's a good news from Maria Blum. But the bad news is that our tool here, instead of the clapping emoji, is showing this wash hands weird text. But just to let you know, it's a clap. And during the Corona time, as our commenters have already mentioned, wash hands, it has also a very positive reason.
I totally agree. Wash your hands.
Maria, how about the protection of this thing? Like indoors, aren't you afraid that one bug and your apartment is flooded or something with water?
No. The good thing of indoors is that you have less pests or bugs or things because your home is closed or you can only open the door, the window, and then this reduces the amount of insects that you have at home. But still, I have a lot of mosquitoes. I need to say it honestly.
I guess it depends on the plant as well.
Yes, depends on the plant, of course. But there is a kind of a specific small mosquito that is so common in lettuce, for instance, because I have also lettuce. And yeah, my home is kind of, we live with mosquitoes, you know.
Well, you can
No,
say you
but
also sell it
there is
as a
some
feature.
biological control. You can use it, you can use biological
Sell
options.
it really as a feature. Say you're growing plants and you're growing mosquitoes as an extra biomaterial in case of the hunger or
Well, yeah, it was not my idea, my original idea, but yeah.
okay. By the way, you can turn off the screen sharing now.
Yeah. Sorry.
Maria is asking, do you have a picture of your indoor garden?
Well, it's this kind of the last image that I show that it was it's kind of shell.
Oh, damn it. And now I said to you, stop the screen sharing. Shame on me.
Yeah,
But I
no,
guess
no
it's fine.
worries. It was
We can jump back if need.
no
Okay,
worries.
more
So
questions.
we can share it later.
More questions. Not from the audience yet, then from me. How is the power consumption of this thing?
Good question. Because the consumption of the system is low because you only need 5 volts and you can use batteries or lithium batteries. But if you are considering adding lights, artificial lights, then increase the light
Of course.
consumption.
What I'm asking is more you might have some plants that are not next to the power socket. So you would want to use the battery and like devices like Raspberry Pi, they are quite hungry, I can say. You need to charge the battery every day and you
Yes.
need a big one.
Yeah.
But you're using the microcontroller as well. That should be better, more efficient. Or am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah. You're right. But also you also need to connect to the plug, the Raspberry Pi, and these kind of things. Totally agree. You need to have the options to do the connections because you need the power supply.
And since you mentioned the lights, are you controlling it as well?
Sorry?
Since you mentioned the lights, do you have a relay for the lights?
No, because I bought one that has the internal control of that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's the same thing. I guess
yeah,
it will be really easy for you.
yeah.
Got it.
I totally agree. But when I bought it, it was before all the project, and I thought, oh, it's cool. It's auto control, self control. Sorry. And then I thought, oh, I also could control that, or also you can control with sound, and this kind
I
of
see.
things. It's
Nice.
super cool.
Okay, then the last question from me. What would you say to the people who are just thinking about getting into the growing plants thing? What they can start with? What is the easiest plants to start with that, you know, cannot die? And what minimal setup do they need?
Okay, depends on the country, weather that you live, and also the conditions of your apartment. We can say if you are growing indoors. But for instance, if you are thinking in Germany or Europe, that we have, well, in Germany, let's leave it in Germany because the south and the north is not the same. Basil, the basilicum, it's really, really easy to grow it and also to have control, but needs a lot of hours of sun. If you have a window, it's a good place. Also, you can use mint. It's really easy to grow.
So
And
basilicum and mint.
Sorry?
Sounds very basilicum and mint.
Yes. I think that that's the two species that are easy to grow and also have some kind of maintenance. But if you have a lot of problems with the watering, you have always the cactus option. But I believe in all of you, and I think that you can build at least the system one and keep alive basilicum.
And the whole fun is in the watering about your system.
Yeah.
That's what I would love to try.
Good. If you have questions, biological or microcontrollers or whatever, I am available always to answer questions for all of you. I will be really happy.
That's cool. So yes, you can continue asking questions maybe after the session in the Skype call, or you can also ask Maria on Twitter. I have seen some bio content there from you, Maria. Yes. That's really good. Keep it up, please. Thank you very much then.
Thank you.
It was a great presentation and it's an honor to have you. And now we have boosted Boris. Hello, Boris. Don't say anything, just hit the drums. You will say whatever you want to say after the show, after the solo. So for now, let's just go to the solo because we are hungry for some crazy drumming action. So this is Boosted Boris, and following the good tradition of the Python show, he will now perform live solo on his drum set. So please welcome Boosted Boris! Bravo, 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 Boris. Well done. Now please plug in your mic and let's have a short chat. Say something.
Hey, can you hear me? All good?
Yes, we can hear you. Wonderful solo, Boris. You're getting better and better in it.
Yeah, that's true.
So for those who are
definitely boosted.
Yes. So for those who are connected the first time today, Boosted Boris is the soul of our show. He's expressing his opinion about the talks live. If he likes it or does not, he might interrupt you right during your talk with crazy drum action. Boris, how was the first talk? Are you growing
Actually,
plants now?
What? Nice. Can you hear me? Good.
Yes, we can. Are you going to grow some plants now?
It was my idea actually. I wanted to create this device. I already started doing this because I have my own small citrus plant. It was like and I constantly forgotten to water it. So and it was about to die. This was my idea like half a year ago. So
Maria,
maybe
can you hear it? You see, super important content you delivered today. Great.
Yeah,
Happy to
so
hear
it was in my plan to start doing this.
Happy to hear it. By the way, since Maria was speaking about Telegram bot, I think we can reveal a part of the secret behind the scenes that we are having here with Boosted Boris about Telegram. So how Boris knows when the action happens and when he should start should get prepared for the drums, because it's hard to sit 2 hours with the sticks like that. So when the dramatical moment comes up, I have this external device here, and this button sends a telegram message to Boris, and that means like something is going to happen right now. Please be next to your drum set. This is a bit of a spoiler. I will cut it after the show, but for those who are watching it live, they can know behind the scenes. It works, right, Boris?
Yeah, I've seen this. But sometimes it could happen that my wife also can write me in Telegram and I accidentally start playing, thinking that Anton is giving me this. So it could happen, yeah. So
nice. Okay, so if you're interested in more things how it works, this is where you can read it. It's Medium, Boris in Drums blog, where Boris promises to post the music content, correct?
yes, that's true. So first article in this blog will be about how we set up this kind of drums and all these devices, how it works. I will create this today. Tomorrow it will be posted. So
cool. So link in the description. All of the links are there. Good. Thank you very much. And remember, I said about a surprise that comes at the end today. So you will see what else we have today prepared for you, dear listeners. Thanks, Boris. Now, can you please help us to get some nice introduction for our next speaker, Lasse? Ready when you are? And Lasse!
Hey!
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
Me, Boris. I'm doing
Anton?
well, thanks. I'm doing really good. I'm happy on this Python show. I always have great speakers, great audience. So it's a time when I'm actually most relaxed during the day, surprisingly.
Very nice.
How are you doing?
That's how it should be. I'm doing very well. Like I cannot complain at all. Like especially knowing how hard it is for some people in the world right now. I'm doing super well.
That's true. That's a good point. A bit of a context. So I know Lasse for quite some time. I think since the first PyCon Germany. Oh, we have some echo here. I would ask other speakers to mute yourself. Everybody except Lasse.
I think this is coming from Boris.
Okay, Boris, can you mute yourself for a sec?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, nice. You can
There we go.
unmute the drums, obviously. Good. Back to you, Lasse. So I know Lasse for quite some time, since the first PyCon Germany that we organized in Munich in 2016, right?
I think,
You've been there.
wasn't I even one of the first people to register or something?
Could be. I don't know. I didn't know you back then that well to remember. So.
I remember like you gave me like a prize for being the first person who registered or something. Was it that year?
Could be you and Koala team, right?
Yeah.
And you brought me Koala beer. Now I remember.
Yes. We had
now I do
obviously
remember.
Koala beer.
Nice. So I see in comments that people indeed complain about echo. So I hope it's gone now. So let us know if it's still annoying or it's gone. Good. So Lasse went a long way since then, I suppose. I've been meeting with Lasse on many conferences pretty much every year or a couple of times per year on different Python events. And every time I hear something new. More open source, more Koala, then the startup, then the agency. What's the state right now? Are you still with Koala?
Honestly, like Koala, it's really hard to find time for it. I occasionally look into the channels. I try to figure out what's going on there. There's still people active there, which is really delightful to see. There's a nonprofit that actually starts getting more and more active in educating people, which was always a huge part of the mission of Koala. Boris, thank you. Yeah, so for Koala, I personally don't really get any time. And on the news thing, I guess the quick summary is more and more startups. And it's more like I'm really growing to become a serial entrepreneur. I've been founding 2 new startups in the beginning of this year, for example, together with some really great people. One is the Renewables Now, which is a platform, a digital platform where people can sell solar farms and buy solar farms. And it's going to be live in like a couple of weeks, maybe in a week or so. We'll see. So we're going to launch a product very, very soon there. And I'm founding this with some people who are straight from the solar business, very experienced, really, really nice. That's one thing. The other one is Hopefully, which is like basically farmerly, sort of literally translated. And it's an app where people can buy locally farmed goods from farmers that are nearby. And the interesting thing here is that the contractual relationship is between the end customer and the farmer directly. And we are just providing an online platform and the logistics, but we are not actually the intermediary like a supermarket or many stores who actually centralize the logistics. And we're not sitting in between and getting away all the cut. We're just getting the people to buy from their local farmer very directly.
All right. Would that help, for instance, in this Corona lockdown case? If we get another wave of Corona, will it help for people to get the farmer goods without going to the markets? Is it working like that?
That too. So basically, the way it works is that an end consumer, like any customer, would just order their products online from the farmer, and then he can pick it up at the farmer. So he'll have like a box right there to pick it up, or he can also get it delivered. So yes, you do not have to go to the supermarket anymore.
Cool. Okay, for our audience, how it's going to work from here. So I invited Lasse, actually, he was one of our first people I wrote to. So even before starting the show, I was thinking about this format to have one talk will be more hands-on and one talk will be more conceptual, inspirational, general. So as you can guess, Lasse will be the second one. So I wanted to gather people like from two camps. One, people who really know their way in programming, like who can open the terminal and do crazy things there. You have seen a lot of this content on Python Show already, hopefully. And then there are this other type of people who can perhaps also do some hands-on stuff. But for this show in particular, I want to gather also the experience that they had outside of it, like making this whole legal procedure work around your idea, getting the classical struggles of the running an open source project or a company. And this is why I invited Lasse. It's an interesting journey, actually. As I say, we've been meeting on many conferences, and I remember like he started with a consultancy. I started with a consultancy, I guess about the same time. Freelance, I do freelance. On the next conference, PyCon Slovakia, I come, I open the agency, he opens the agency. And then it split. So now I'm still with the agency. Lasse is doing, I don't know how I call it, startup farming, or you are growing them as hell.
So basically, I transformed my agency from being just an agency to basically being a startup production unit, sort of, so to say, right? The agency ViperDev, like it originally did start as like someone just needed some software, right? But we very quickly figured out that it's just like we are very, very good at getting something that is ready to use in a very, very quick time frame, right? And from that on, we started working with startups, and eventually we started doing equity deals with startups, saying like, okay, we can actually give you discounts for that. We actually get to be your CTO, which is something that you profit off. And by now we actually launch at least like one product every single month to the market. Like we have already released a product for June, actually. Which the day before yesterday, we just got a Slack bot approved to the Slack store with one of our customers. And like using this experience, we can actually we can do so many hacks to just get people to market so much faster. And more often than not, founders come to me with their idea. They tell me about their plan of how they can go to market within the next 2 years. And then I just crunch it down together with them. And then 2 months later, we got a product out there. That's like the typical story of at least getting something out there, and that's really, really making me happy, and them seem to be too.
Good. So as you perhaps noticed, I will have a lot of questions in these directions, but this show is not just about me. I want everybody, all of our audience, to ask in comments, what do you want to know about first, the topics that Lasse can discuss on? It's running an open source project, a big one, distributed one, promoting it. I guess also part where you want to get out of the project, but keep it running. This part, the open source part, as well as the business part, the company part, like how does it work in Germany? So these two types of questions Lasse is going to answer today. So please post that in comments. And the format for now is sort of a panel. So I will be adding my stuff. I also work in business, also with Python, but Lasse is the main expert for today. So please post him some questions. If you don't post, hello Boris. Hello Boris. Echo. Okay, gone. Yes, post your questions to Lasse. If there are no questions, then I will be asking questions. It will be about 10 to 15 minutes. After that, our surprise, as we promised. And then the open discussion.
You're really building up some pressure here.
Oh, yeah, I do. I'm reading the comments at the moment. I will just post it, I guess. I read about next week's PyLadies meetup with both Lisa and Luciano talking about my favorite topics, debugging and about typing, which I would like to learn more about. Is it appropriate to join? Okay, I guess it's a question to Lisa, but that does not really matter. I'm sure it's very appropriate to join Jürgen. Next week, there will be no Python show. Next week, Python show is PyLadies show. So I didn't think it makes sense to make two major events with one day difference. So I will be absolutely supporting PyLadies. Maybe even we do it on the same channel. Maybe we do it even in the same format. We will see this decision from PyLadies. But next week the stage is only there. So everybody, the whole audience, please take a look. PyLadies Munich group. They are already announcing it. Already did actually. So you have to join there. Good. Now back to Lasse. Lasse, then I guess the first thing will be, I have seen your team. Has it been changing much since then?
You've been looking at the team section or at the quality?
Quality.
I guess first question, what do you even define to be the koala team? Like
people who've been talking about koala on the conferences with you.
Yeah. I mean, with those you kind of start collecting like people who are just conference happy, and then some of those start joining you on the project, and then it's usually the always the very same people that are conference happy that to jump with you from conference to conference, and whenever you go to the conference, they will just join you for the sake of, hey, there's a nice conference. Which is why even if the community is changing and growing and shrinking and whatever, you will always see similar people at the conferences usually, indeed.
Okay, but did you have more people in Koala team, maybe from other countries? How was the team generally working? Was it a distributed team, or did you know these people personally, the same city?
So Koala was completely distributed international. If you really look at it, I think we've actually had a 4-digit number of people who made a commit to Koala.
Crazy. Like maybe you can say a few words about Koala, because I don't know if everybody knows the context what we were talking about. What is Koala?
So Koala originally is like a tool that basically does linting, but it is sort of a meta linter. So Koala, it's like a linting tool without linting rules, and with like hooks where you can plug in any linting rules that you like, which effectively means you can use it for any programming language for any kind of linting that you'd like to use. And there are extensions for, I think, between 50 and 80 programming languages.
Name some, the most popular ones that use it.
Like, obviously, there's linters for Python, there's linters for C, C++, Haskell. But like, I remember we've also been merging some Elm linter or something, right? So whenever a linter for something like exists, it's very easy to integrate it into Koala. And what really made the project big was that we took a very careful approach on educating people on how to contribute to open source projects. And that means just taking the time, doing proper code reviews, teaching them how open source works without intimidating them. Which then in turn led to many, many people doing at least a small contribution. But we are definitely having a problem of not having really good people that can be maintainers and that can actually guide and drive the vision of the project.
Okay, got it. I posted the link right now on the screen. It's koala.io. Is it still developed? Is it alive?
It's hard to say. So there's people active there. There's also some people going forward a bit, but it is definitely not as active as it used to be. I would say the most impact that the Koala project as a whole has right now is still on education, and it's not necessarily as a software project. And it's partly because of the open source project, where still, like, if you look at the Jitter channel, you'll see like 1 to 3 people daily sometimes joining the community, interacting with our bots, which actually help them do their first contribution and getting to know how Git and GitHub works and all this stuff.
Sounds pretty active to me.
Yeah, but then again, you will always only get small contributions and nothing really major in the project changes, you know, because there's not many people who are actually active maintainers and are actually bringing forward the huge or any huge vision of the project. So the educational aspect is really in the foreground.
I see. And we have a question from Lasse, organizer of PyLadies Munich, right about that. How are your open source projects welcome to beginners in Python? It seems like the tutors and mentors are hard to keep.
Yes.
So you say it's
they are.
educational. How does it work for newcomers?
So I think the key to that, to like helping people to get started on those kinds of things at scale, is automation. And one thing that we've been always very good at Koala was setting up continuous integration, setting up bots that, you know, add people to the organization and basically tell them, hey, go there. There's the docs. I think we've had a bot, a chat bot, where you just write "Hello World." It gives you an introduction. It tells you what to do. It tells you where the docs are, and you like if you want to get started on an issue, you basically tell the bot that you want to get started on the issue. And I think the bot also at least used to assign people. So it's some heavy automation going on there. The other part is obviously linting the linter itself. So whenever somebody does a pull request, it will automatically get review comments from the linter. And this way people will actually learn how code review works without actually anyone doing anything, at least for a start, right? And those are obviously the parts that also still work and that they are more reliable. And then you have like the real human review that is really problematic, especially now that the community is not as stable, at least when it comes to the more experienced people.
That was a good answer. Thank you.
But like in the end, it all goes down to like, firstly, automation. And secondly, like honestly, one person who just like commits their life and brings the vision forward and like helps everyone and gets all the people on board.
Was that you?
And in the beginning, that was me. And then I pulled people on board, and then I kept them. Then for a while, that was John Vandenberg, who did a lot of stuff at Wikimedia. And like he also, I think he was mostly in it for the educational aspect. He actually works with ViperDev now too. And like, yeah, it usually relies on, at least in the beginning, on just like that. We Python people call it benevolent dictator for life, right?
Lasse calls it a leader.
Yeah.
Good. Another question, it was actually the first one. Lasse, why PyBusiness? Is there any special Python ingredient? Well, actually, it was me calling it PyBusiness, but the question is still valid because I think, is it right? Is the Python somehow a magic ingredient in all of that project, or did you switch?
Well, I think it's definitely relevant. So historically, the business is called ViperDev because I sat at the government office and I needed a name. And I was like, yeah, we do stuff with Python. Let's choose some animal that's somewhere in the area where the domain is free. So that actually goes back to us doing Python as a first-class citizen. But that's not actually market advantage, right? The thing about startups is really you want to get to market really quick, and you need to build like whatever hack you can do. You want to take it, however you can go to market faster. I definitely think that Python has made it a lot easier than many other languages with all the abstract concepts that you can have there. With the whole Django REST framework, where you just set up all your view sets and you just generate everything based off those classes. There are many other solutions where things are a lot more complicated, and I really feel like choosing Python was definitely a very good decision for our business. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's irreplaceable, because if you look at the core of almost any business, like realizing something on a technical level, it's always on the doable side of things. Whereas convincing people to buy it is usually the part where people fail at.
There is also a sad story. Pretty often people start with nice tools that can bring them faster to production, and then they have to replace them. Did it happen to you already that you had to rewrite some Python in Java or C or whatever high performance language there?
Not at
Okay,
all,
that
actually.
sounds like a success.
So the nice thing about us is, I mentioned this earlier, we're bringing a startup to market every month, right? And that actually means by now we've gotten quite a bit of experience in building Python backends. I wouldn't say they are Facebook scalable, but I would definitely say we've got our share of some experiences there. And we can, like, we basically have like a base project where we fork off any new project. And that's obviously like a backend Python project, and it's a front-end project. And whenever we build something, whenever we do an improvement that could be useful to other projects, we basically go back to that base project. And that's kind of similar to like how we did automation at Koala, right? We think multiplicative. Like we don't want to just make this one project better. We want to make all our future projects better. And I think that's really key to our success there.
Another question, if the backend is Python Django API, what do you take for the front end?
So we basically, we are very hooked on the Ionic framework because it provides us with a progressive web app and very good mobile apps where you can also use native functionalities. At the same time, it's very fast to do a quick app, and you can just put it third onto any platform. So with Ionic, back then when we started doing it, Ionic was working with Angular only. There was no Ionic as like just the UI framework like they do it nowadays. So we are still with Ionic Angular as the combination. We sometimes do React, but mostly it's just Ionic Angular, and it works splendidly.
Okay, nice.
Like there's always problems in the details, right? But overall, I can't complain with it.
Good. I guess
but we're not using Python, in case you're wondering.
Good.
Do you know that?
I hear it the first time.
I think
I do front ends, so I do JavaScript. I have to do whatever is popular.
It is a browser implementation of Python.
Oh shit! No, it's
in
a bad
JavaScript.
Idea. It's a bad idea.
So
it's not where the Python is the strongest.
Yeah,
good.
An interpreted language.
Exactly. All right. Maria likes the Ionic, I see from comments. So you have some support. Next question will be from me. So we spoke briefly about maintaining an open source project. Now the typical monetization of open source would be either support or donations. Can you share anything else? Maybe did you get some grants from the government or from the companies? Does that work as well? Is it an alternative?
To be honest, we haven't figured that part out. Koala. So there is the Koala, the Koala Association, which is actually the Open Education and Software Association, and that is the nonprofit that we founded for managing the Google Summer of Code. So the Google Summer of Code is definitely one income stream of that. And it's also how it all started, like the whole money thing at open source projects, right? But when now that this nonprofit gets more serious, we are actually starting to work with universities and helping them, for example, to do remote teaching. But what we're doing with the nonprofit does not necessarily relate to the code of Koala or monetizing Koala itself. We have been trying to found the startups surrounding that. we have been trying that's called Gitmate. And the whole Gitmate idea was all well and nice. We have been burning through 2 government programs, which are startup grants. I think a total of like $250,000 euros. So in Germany, it's usually pretty easy to get a startup grant if you have an idea where you can reasonably claim that it's actually technically innovative. And we managed to do that. But in the end, the market did not really accept that. GitHub and GitLab were starting to build some of the things that we had in mind, and we just closed down the company because we could have worked a lot with that, but if there's so much going on there, there's no realistic chance.
That was specific to Gitmate. I think what's interesting maybe for our audience is in general, I'm not sure that everybody knows that it's easy to get grants from the government for the startup. So maybe you could tell a bit more about that. Where do you have to write? What exactly makes you qualifying for that? What do you need to pay back?
Okay. Yeah, so in general, grants for startups, like government grants, they work out if you can basically say that your idea is so innovative that you don't harm anyone in the market who basically does the same thing, right? Because then the government would basically fiddle with the economy in a way that it's not supposed to. But if you're doing something that is genuinely new, they are allowed to do that. So that's one of the first things that you have to think about. And that's really, really key, because if you do not get that innovation hurdle right, you're basically not going to be accepted. So the second thing is that usually a relationship to a university, like if you come straight out of university, it is actually very easy to get a startup grant, because at least in Germany, and that's called the Exist grant. And that is especially done for getting projects from research to the market. And if you are a student, you should look at it. Build your team. You'll get 125,000 euros that you could pay yourself and 2 other team members, plus obviously that's the total sum. So you can pay each 30,000 euros and whatever. But like those exist for the university-based stuff, and then usually cities actually have some programs on their own for non-university startups. So if you're not coming from university, but you're still doing an innovative, like technically innovative thing, then there is usually other grants. In Hamburg, we have the IFB Inner Ramp Up, and it is. Yeah.
Is the university thing a federal thing, or is it state specific?
It's like from the state of Germany with an EU fund, I think. So it's like
no, I mean it's not specific to the city and specific to the university. It's just general German.
It's completely all over Germany.
What's the name again? I'll post the link. Exist. Okay. I would love to post the link below the video. Maybe somebody will apply. Yeah. Especially now with Corona crisis. I mean, some people have more time.
Yeah, I have actually noticed that some founders finally get time for their ideas. Definitely. I could give you a link. It's a bit of a bureaucracy thing, but if you're a student
what do
or
you need to pay back?
You don't need to pay back any of those things that I mentioned. Like they're completely free money.
That's nice. I'm absolutely lame in it. So listen to Lasse. I have no idea how this thing works. And I was once in startup. I was a CTO. Let's say it just didn't work that well. We had issues with money and issues with investors. Since then, I thought I quit this thing. I start my agency one day and I never take money from anybody. That was a bit naive because I was like in my 20s. So now I perhaps would, but I still didn't because I don't know how it works. Now, for me, it's just organic. Whatever I earn, I reinvest. But if there is an easy way to get it from somewhere, it's nice. I guess we should publish more of this information.
if you've got an idea, I can usually help you find some way to get it financed if it's a really good concept and not just like a random idea.
Yeah. So people who have ideas, drop something in comments. Let's stay connected. By the way, yeah, what I wanted to ask as well. So you do not need to pay it back, you say. Okay, this is interesting. Well, yeah, because it's a state grant, I guess.
Yeah,
that's good. So you got it.
Yeah, we got 2 of those actually. So
nice.
We got the exist one, and then we got a follow-up one from the city of Hamburg, which was another 150,000 euros.
Nice. How about university people who are still in the university, like PhD students? Can they do this in parallel, or you have to dedicate yourself full time?
So you can do it in parallel if you have 2 other people who don't do it in parallel, basically. So you basically need 2 people who are fully committed to it, and you may have 1 person doing it in parallel, but that is definitely not recommended. The ideal case is you have a team of, especially for exist, the ideal case is you have a team of 3 people. You don't do it in parallel, you do it full time, fully committed, and then that money will pay your bills. It will not do much more, right? It's like just, I think, 2.5K a month minus taxes.
But you don't have to pay it back. That's the key.
You don't have to pay it back, and you can't really earn anything else during that time. So because that's supposed to cover your living expenses. And I think for a PhD student, like after you've done your PhD, you can get more. There's also other grants if you're turning your PhD project into a startup and stuff like that. But the state is really keen on obviously transforming research to actual products.
Well, it makes sense if you think of it.
Yeah, totally, because that's knowledge, and especially the real innovation there. One problem that I have with those programs, if I look at like how successful they are, is that they basically only let people do it 1 time, which in some way obviously makes sense, but in the other way, the people who found their second startup are much more successful than the people who found their first startup. So that way the state actually only gets to fund those startups who are most likely to fail, right? Because like if you look at the statistics, most of the startups fail, but if you get to your 3rd startup, like as a person, that's the point where you start succeeding. Your first 2 startups will basically be fuck-ups statistically, and then you'll get started on succeeding. So if you give up after the first or the second, then you're screwed, right? Then you're the reason why the statistics are so bad.
And that means for your first 2 startups, don't invest your own money. Get the funds from the government.
Oh, never invest your own money. Never. You have no idea what kind of crazy stories I've heard from people who've invested their own money. They've got investors, and like then investors turn against them and force them to sell more shares, and suddenly they are out of control, but they actually are liable with like up to like 150K of their own money. And
yeah, this is what I meant when I decided not to have a business with investors at some point.
Yeah,
didn't happen to me though.
Let investors take the risk. That's their business, right?
Yeah.
But don't risk being completely broke for a startup. Don't do that.
Makes sense. Okay, let's go through the questions. We have accumulated some questions here. Lasse, you just mentioned sales as the real bottleneck. Do you help your projects with sales and marketing too?
The short answer is yes, we do. The longer answer is, well, obviously our main job is like getting their product to market, but it doesn't help them if we don't help them doing sales. Usually before we even start doing development on any project, we actually make them take a step back. We look at their whole sales strategy, and if it doesn't line up, if it doesn't convince us, we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll actually usually force them to do sales before we even do the project. Like if you look at hopefully the startup that we're founding now, we are actually in the midst of the app development, but we're already selling boxes via a simple online shop, right? And an online shop can actually not fully do our use case, but it can already sell boxes, and we can already, we can just do some of the things manually. We can just do it with just one farmer. Okay, that's sad, but that's okay. And we have to, pack the boxes and order the deliveries manually, and it's a shitload of work. But we actually get like at least a 4-digit revenue stream before we even build any software, and we get to try out how the logistics work. We get to learn from our customers, which is so much more important than actually building an app that you dream of and that your customers don't dream of, So yeah,
right?
Sales is the thing that first-time founders always underestimate. They just build the product and then they think it's gonna just work out, and they're just gonna do some social media stuff, and everything's gonna be great. But that's not the case. Like by now, I've probably wasted high 5 to maybe even 6-digit money on trying to do sales and trying to replace me for doing sales at ViperDev. Without big successes. It is fucking hard to do sales, if I may say so.
Oh, there are people who do it really good. Salesmen. Not every developer is salesman.
Definitely not.
So maybe
but
it makes
also
sense
not
to
every
hire somebody.
salesman. But also not every salesman is a fit for every startup or for every company, because I think the thing that most especially first-time founders don't understand is that they don't want a salesman. They need a founder. There's a difference there. If you have a salesman, that person can basically execute a sales process, right? So if you tell that person, here's my target group, that is specifically how it looks like. This is how you reach them. Just, go to that register, call all those numbers, convert them to customers with those methods. A salesman will be super fine and able to execute that. But if you are a startup, you don't have those prerequisites. So a salesman, like a normal salesman that can work in bigger companies, it won't work for you. What you need is somebody who actually tries out those things, who finds out those things for you, day to day, every time. And and then you basically have to lay the ground so that later you can hire salespeople, which is why you actually need business development rather than sales more often than not. And that's why most startups they start hiring a salesperson. They pay 20,000-30,000 euros for that, and it just fails.
Okay. Thanks. The next question. Lasse, what's your take on starting a business as a side project? Just a few hours until it's profitable.
I like it. Because, you got to limit your risk. The thing about starting it as a side project is don't use that as an excuse to not launch fast. I know some people who were like, yeah, I'm just doing this aside, and then they just don't do it. That's not doing it as a side project. You can do it as I do hopefully and renewables now as a side project, right? And I'm probably starting another startup in the next couple of months. So I basically have several side projects to this company. And the nice thing is with every of those projects, I get to learn something that helps me with all the other startups too. So I'm also a fan of actually trying multiple things, possibly even at the same time. But that doesn't mean to take it slow. I think what we really need to do as founders is we basically need to go to the market like a rocket. We need to really, really get all the hacks that we can to do it. And if that means, maybe spending a few bucks on someone doing something for me so I can get it tomorrow instead of in 1 or 2 months, that's fine. If that means I'm just going to take a bare metal server that I have lying around and already set up rather than spending 2 months on setting up a Kubernetes instance, that means I'll do it. whatever I do does not have to be scalable. Whatever I do, it doesn't necessarily even have to work as long as users think it does. The main thing is
Fake
really
it till you make it.
yeah. And in whatever position you are, think about like, how can I be on the market with something within the next 2 months? And if you don't find a way, then like think again. There is a way.
Okay, that's a good tip.
That's especially for software only. Like if you're wanting to sell hardware, it's starting to get a bit hard. Hardware development cycles are really hard. It sucks. But if you do software, fake it. Like the Airbnb first product was a static website with some images of a flat and a phone number, and it was like, if you're interested, just call me. How long does it take you to build that website? 10 minutes?
But will anybody call, really?
Yeah, people called.
Okay.
That's how they validated their business model.
Mm-hmm. Good. All right, next question from me. Did you try crowdfunding or consider it or did some research?
So I know some customers who did it, and I feel like crowdfunding especially works if you are if you're basically going for a bigger vision that has some kind of ethical thought behind it, because that really gets people to do marketing for you. So I mean, we've always been keen on supporting stuff that helps renewable energies. But I know, for example, a project that takes people from the streets and basically gives them jobs by putting them on bikes that gets trash from businesses, so they don't have to worry about the trash, right? And
okay.
that is obviously like very sustainable, helping a lot of people. They did a crowdfunding campaign, and that went pretty well. I think they got 15,000 euros or something. But if you take into account what kind of work they had to do for that, like they did a crowdfunding campaign for a month, and it probably was 2 people full time for 2 months.
But there are
and
agencies who do it these days. The Specialize on Indiegogo, all the PR, everything.
I have never heard of someone doing it with an agency, but do they deliver you more money than they cost?
I'm not sure because I also didn't do it. I only read about it, but my understanding is that in crowdfunding, PR is everything. You just need to make people aware about your project, get into these newsletters everywhere. And if the agency has done it already, I guess their contacts are just a million times better than your contacts if you're just getting started with this thing. You might not even know what is there, what exists. I personally, I wouldn't even try doing PR myself.
That may well be possible. Though there's one thing that I want to say about crowdfunding, which is that I actually think crowdfunding is not about the money. Crowdfunding is about validating what your customers actually want. Because if you can actually show that customers are paying you 15,000 euros without you actually having a customer or like a product, that is like business development gold, right? You know
Sure.
exactly why they signed up. You've probably had tons of discussions with them, and you have data to basically convince anyone that people are actually going to pull out their pockets and buy your product. And that is hands off the number one reason why startups fail. And if you can eliminate that by doing a crowdfunding campaign, that is a really, really good method. Whether you in the end made a plus on the money or not doesn't matter, if you ask me.
Makes sense. Good. So what would be your tip for the new entrepreneurs? Let's say somebody wants to start a side business. Maybe it's a software product that is a good idea, doesn't have any customers yet. Obviously, it's sort of a chicken and egg problem. You need to start working on it serious to get it developed seriously. At the same time, yeah, how would you start? The part-time way, hire an agency, start with open source, and then convert it into business?
I would start with anything but the software, honestly. I know that all the developers out there hate to hear that. I mean, I've studied computer science as well, and like the way I started Koala was like I just was having fun doing it, right? But if you are serious about making it a business, don't look at the software. You got to start by looking at your customers, and you can do that part-time. There's a couple of hacks that you can do, but they depend a lot on what kind of business you're raising, right? So like, is it a B2B business? Is it a B2C business? There's many questions to be asked. I think the most important strategy is really to try and get people to pay for your product as early as you can, maybe even if you don't have a product. Just make like a contract, like as soon as the product is there, I will wire you $1,000 onto your account if it's a B2B product, right? I've done that with many founders. Like some founders come to me, have an idea, we make it a concept, we go out to customers. Before we even write a single line of code, they get like in total, like basically contracts worth 8,000 euros. Has happened. I'm actually currently I'm writing a white paper where I'm summing up all those hacks, and I'm going to publish that very soon. If you want, I can give you the link.
Oh, we want it.
Okay,
but it's not published yet.
It is not published yet. The landing page is also sort of broken and halfway done. I could give you the landing page. I think if you sign up, you may end up in some bucket, and then I can send it to you later. But you may also not, so I don't know.
If people will get their emails ending up, they don't know where, they might have doubts leaving them.
So how about we do this? So if you're interested in the white paper, just shoot me an email to lasse@viper.dev. Is that easy enough?
Whenever you get it, if you mail it to me, I will post the link below this video.
Yeah.
Good. Sounds good. So how about the last question? Last question to Lasse, and then we go to our last surprise section. It's interesting that I see that the viewers are not leaving. It means that they are listening, but they are not so actively asking. It's a good sign. It means that you are discussing it right, let's say. But it would be good to have some guidance from the audience still in which direction we should go. And this is the last question now.
Suspense.
Yeah, so somebody asked me to write your email down.
I think you can do it.
I can do it. Yes, I'll post it in the description. Are you using Twitter? I announced you there, but maybe that's easier.
I am very rarely using Twitter, but like not really.
All right. Then no Twitter, email, all the way.
Yeah, just shoot me an email. That's surely going to reach me, and then I'm going to send you the white paper.
Good. Then the last question that is from me. It will be agency versus the product. So you did both, and as far as I understand, you actually are still doing the agency. What is the business difference? I know it's financially much easier to run an agency. You don't need investors. You have customers usually right away, and they pay you. Well, maybe not right away, but certainly easier than the product.
I'm just saying, you cannot do all that with product businesses. That's basically what I just explained, right? You can take a product and make money before you build it, and then use that money to build it, and then make more money to enhance it. So, like, you can actually bootstrap product models too.
That's a good tip. Good answer.
I've done it. It's just a bit harder. The thing with like an agency is usually like, I need someone to do this. And obviously that's not something that anyone could easily solve in a scalable way, or you wouldn't need an agency, which is why it's like it's a much clearer need in terms of I know that this business model exists. Whereas if I'm building a product, I'm trying out something completely new, and that's why the likelihood of people just not needing it is just much higher, right? So build an agency, basically go the easy way. People definitely need it. Otherwise, like, well, I guess you could maybe start an agency that does weird things that nobody ever needs. But like, who does that, right? You usually build an agency because somebody asks you to help you out with something, and then more people ask you to help you out with something, and then you start hiring people to help other people out with something, and then you have an agency. That's like as easy as that.
Exactly.
But with a product, it's a bit harder because the thing that you're building does not exist yet. I'm kind of a fan of like whatever you do. If you have a problem that annoys you, or if you have someone who asks you to help you with something, go do it. Take the opportunity. I'd say whatever opportunity you've got, if you want to found a business, just do it. Try it out. If it doesn't work out for you, take the next thing.
All right.
The first business isn't gonna work out anyway.
That's a great tip for the end. Thank you, Lasse.
Gotta have a bit of patience.
Your talk is highly appreciated here. We will post the links later. And for now, let's get to the latest part, shall we?
Okay.
So connect your stuff, and I'll tell the background.
It is connected.
Oh,
so
okay.
While like you should be able to hear something, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that works.
I guess
So
most of you guessed it already. Yeah, the thing is, when we've been checking connection like 5 minutes before the broadcast today, Boris was hitting the drums, and Lasse said, "Oh, that's cool. By the way, I also play the piano." And we thought,
tiny bit.
Two solos is
much.
better than one solo. All right, so we do like this. First, we give a big round of applause and thanks together with Boris to Lasse. And after that, he will play his solo. So first, thanks for your talk, Lasse. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yes. And now, great. And now your turn, Lasse. The stage is yours. After that,
when you basically asked me to play something on the piano, I like that was like an hour ago or something. So I had no idea, and so I was like, okay, I'm not going to play a solo. We're just going to do a quiz because I can only play the start of some pieces. So I'm going to play the start of a piece, and then Anton has to guess what it is. Okay?
All right.
Do you want me to start with a hard one or an easy one?
Easy, of course. Let's also encourage our commenters to write, because I'm not exactly the musician. So if you recognize it, drop it in comment.
You got this?
That's Kalinka.
Okay, that was the easy part.
Yes.
So now for a bit of something else. You know that?
No, go on. I hope the commenters will drop something.
So this is where I start like not knowing how it goes. At least not without the sheets.
You can
no
try something
comments
else.
About it yet?
No comments, no.
Okay, so different piece?
Yep.
So this one is an arrangement that I did while I was sick and bored.
Okay.
So it's coming. It's actually movie music, and I guess you just have to guess which kind of movie or series this is from. that's just the start.
Nice.
Did you
I
get
will
it?
not guess. I will not guess where it's coming
What?
from.
Did you got it?
No.
So we have
Tell
to
it.
wait for our commenters.
All right. How about you do one final thing and then you will reveal it? Do you have one more?
Yeah, I have 2 more actually.
All right, then go on.
Like, so this one is a variant of something that many people may know from their childhood. Nothing yet?
Nope.
This goes in a loop.
No, nothing yet.
So this is from. Should I tell or
Yes,
are we waiting for?
Tell.
So this is from Pokemon.
Oh, that's surprising.
I think in the original series it's played much faster, but then I think for the new game they did this slow arrangement of it, which has I think a very nice touch to it.
Okay.
This part is actually from Doctor Who. So that's, how's that called? Validation from Doctor Who.
By the way, there was a guess that the previous one was Pink Floyd.
No.
No. Yeah, that was also in the comment that perhaps no. And that was a Dragon Ball, Lasse would have guessed.
Oh, how about this one? Ah, damn it. This is a bit difficult. This is supposed to be played on just one hand, so I'm having actually one hand free, but I can't get the rhythm of the left hand right, at least so spontaneously.
Fairy Fountain.
Yes, exactly.
Says Christian, not me. Christian.
That's
sorry.
correct.
The Legend of Zelda. So our commenter was right.
Very nice.
Congratulations.
I think you should give him a prize.
Yeah. I would love
I'm
to
just
actually.
putting pressure on the moderator since he made me play piano on the live in front of a live audience.
Well, it works pretty good. Yeah, we should think of some prizes for the show. You are right, Lasse. All right. Good. I have just published in the comments a link to the Skype call. If you still have some time, just click on that link. There is also a web client that will drop you to our call that we have here with Lasse, Boris, and everyone. So don't be shy. Come in, and we will just end the broadcast on YouTube soon, but we will still chat in Skype for another couple of minutes. So let's say you can speak off record with us. So the link is in comments,
Sure.
also in the description of the event. If you reload the page, I just published it. Yes, one more thing I wanted to do before we end, though. A moment. Some advertisement for PyLadies. They will do this epic online meetup next week. I'm just showing right now on the screen. They have super cool speakers. You know Lisa from the previous Python show. She works at JetBrains. She's a developer and she knows so much about debugger and about Python runtime. It's crazy. So she will give another talk this time at PyLadies meetup. I will be there for sure watching it. And then the second speaker is Luciano. As far as I remember, This is a Brazilian developer, and he's the author of the book Fluent Python. That is quite a famous book, actually. So, yes, I'm not sure about his topic, but just this name alone tells me that not just people from Munich will join this one. So it will be a big deal. You are very welcome to join. Anybody for getting the link, go to PyLadies Munich page on Meetup, or I'm not sure. I will for sure publish it also on this channel, as well as on Twitter. So you can also follow us there. All right, good. So now I guess we are about to end. Boris, are you here? No, Boris is gone. Okay, then. Oh, he is. Nice. 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 Then one last big applause for Lasse. And I say thanks, everybody. And I see you next week on PyLadies Meetup. Okay, bye.